Hi, I'm Wendy. I'm a neurodivergent music teacher who specialises in working with neurodivergent students. The aim of this series is to assist my students, their loved ones and the wider community to a further understanding of how and why some people may experience the world differently. As someone who works with many different autistic people, this is my understanding of what autism can be. But there is no such thing as a typical autistic person, and I know this very well as I myself am also autistic. Autism isn't an illness or disease or something that needs to be cured, it's just a different type of brain wiring. For example, a non-autistic person might hear a song on the radio by the Beatles and just say they like it, whereas an autistic person could have every album by the band chronologically stored by year of release and know every photo, fact and figure about the band that exists. They might think, dress like, live and breathe the band. They might literally live inside their music in a world of disassociation. There is a difference in our interests, the same as there is a difference in our sensory experiences. So now let's have a think about some of the difficult things that autistic people might face and reasonable adjustments we can make to help them overcome these barriers. This is because autistic people have a heightened sensitivity of information coming into our senses. Environmental factors can also affect how we react to these senses. As Dr. Luke Bearden states, autism plus environment equals outcome. These all come together well. You can experience sensory joy, but if not, it can feel like torture. For example, gigs can be lots of fun, but other times can be a sensory nightmare, which can take days or weeks to recover from and even cause burnout. The energy needed to process so much sensory information can be completely draining and is often invisible to others. Coping mechanisms I suggest to autistic music lovers and I apply myself are: bring snacks, hydrate, wear good earplugs and use Erlen glasses. These are my Erlen glasses. Also, have a supportive person with you and limit sensory input. Plan travel in advance, arrange times so you know what to expect when you get there. Transitions are another thing that can be challenging. This is a shift from one state, place or subject to another. If I am teaching someone and we need to cover more than one thing, I will usually ask the student how many pieces they would like to work on in the lesson so they know in advance. I also ask them if they'd like to work on a particular piece before we start on it. The lessons are guided by the individual student to suit how they are feeling on that day. As a teacher, I always remind my students of when their next session is, work with them to plan their lesson and respond to their needs, and allow for flexibility. This can also help with their executive functioning. Executive dysfunction is challenges around such things as planning, organising and managing our time. It can make it harder for us to control such things as attention, intention, impulses and emotion. This can also affect how a person holds information in their working memory or their ability to adapt to new situations or changes to plans. Additional coping strategies I use are breaking tasks down into chunks or using a visual timer. A lot of autistic people experience different information processing. A common place we might see this is in discussions if we are having a conversation about something we're not familiar with. This can be because our capacity is being used up processing sensory information or having social anxiety about replying with the correct thing. I like to allow extra time for processing new information and try to explain things in a style that individual students will understand easily. These different experiences may result in behaviours outside typical social expectations. The most common ones are shutdown, meltdown. A shutdown is a survival mechanism where it feels like the brain has been shut off for a period of time. From the outside, you might not even notice that someone's having a shutdown. They might just go quiet, put their head down or put their hands over their ears. Alternatively, a meltdown can look like a tantrum, rage or panic attack. It is an explosion of feelings when someone can no longer regulate their emotions. The important thing to remember is it is not a choice, people cannot turn it off. It's an automatic, protective or defensive reaction. They need time and space to recover. Usually this means they need to be left alone and not questioned. So in reality, autism might not be quite what you think it is. This is due to several factors, including narrow-minded social expectations, lack of education and stereotypes. But things are changing now gradually and for the better. I hope you find this explanation helpful. Feel free to share with anyone if you think it will help them understand what autism is. Feel free to ask questions in the comments below or suggest anything you'd like me to cover next. My name's Wendy, thank you for watching. If you'd like any more information, please go to my website.